Oh, hey you. It's Kat and Steve with the Positively Midwest podcast.
Well, hello there. Now, before this next episode, let's talk about sharing our mission.
To help, we have hooked up with Anchor.fm to help us keep launching Positively Midwest to as many ears as possible. The more we expand our reach, the more lives we can help inspire.
If you haven't heard of Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Bonus, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Well, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, and many more.
You can make money with no minimum listenership, which helps our cause.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in just one place.
So go now, download free Anchor app or go to anchorapp.fm to get started.
Now, sit back and enjoy the next episode of the Positively Midwest podcast. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Positively Midwest podcast. My name is Steve Jurens, and across from me as always is my lovely wife, Catherine.
Aw, isn't he so sweet?
Yeah, so we're coming off our first camping expedition of the year, as well as boating expedition, and everybody is burnt to a crisp, but I think having a good time.
Yeah, we're recovering, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That sun's been a beast out there.
Yeah, it's really, really hot. So, anyways, so tonight's episode today's, whenever you're listening,
right,
is number 76. So, Mr. Joyner hooked us up with another guest. So we have Shanna Toft with us, and she's an actress and has some awesome things going on. So we're going to get to know each other a little bit and talk some positivity. Would you like to say hi to all these lovely people?
Of course. And once again, my name is Shanna Toft. I am an actor, director, producer, MC, and model. And I am just really super involved in the entertainment industry. I actually am my own LLC. So it's something that I do full time in addition to the contract work that I do overnight sometimes when I'm not filming. So it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. We appreciate you taking the time on what could be a lovely Sunday afternoon, early evening to do that for us.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So I was checking out your bio, and then we talked a little bit before we recorded, obviously, and you've got some series that you just kind of wrapped up, and that's out, and then another movie that's coming out nationwide next week. Tell us a little bit about those two projects.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of working for 2.5 months on Cruel Summer. That's cruel as in mean, Cruel Summer. And we filmed that in the Dallas area. And it was so much fun to work on that show. I was in the original pilot before COVID happened, and they had to recast one of the main characters. But I was a waitress in that original pilot, and then when they recast and had to redo the show a little bit, I became one of the reporters, and I did some work as one of the general recurring extras in that show as well. But you will be able to see me in many of the episodes throughout that season. It's a limited series on Freeform and Hulu. And 2 of my kids actually got to be in that as well. So we're always really excited. We watch things a little bit differently as actors. When we go through and look at things, we're like, oh yeah, we know it was actually happening right there. We know what they did with the lighting and such for that scene, blah blah blah. But it's really fun to rewatch and be like, oh, there we are, you're there. My sister is taking screenshots and everything whenever she sees it, and she's like, I'm so proud of my sister and of my nephews. And we had so much fun working on it. We are a family of actors, and we have a movie coming out hopefully next year where we are strong supporting characters, but the production on that has been delayed because the state that it's filming in is not quite open for the film industry at this point. So it'll be several more months, we've been told, on that one, but it is on IMDb. It's called Watchdogs. But currently we have 12 Mighty Orphans, that is out this week in Texas and will be dropping nationwide next week. And one of my daughters and I worked several days on that movie as well. She probably is seen more than I am in that movie. She is actually one of the orphans in the orphanage, and she's there actually right with Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen is a sweetheart, by the way. He came right up to my daughter and me in the lunch tent one of the days that we were working, and he is just absolutely adorable and funny, and I just love him. And I actually got an autographed photo of him delivered to me last week, and he thanked me for working with them on 12 Mighty Orphans, and that was just something really special. So I haven't seen the entire movie yet, but I did get to see part of it at the wrap party. So that was pretty awesome.
Wow. So what's kind of the quick lowdown on what that movie's going to be about?
It is based on a true story of an orphanage in the Fort Worth area, and their football team, they were really, really super poor, and they started playing football against the other teams in the area, and they had like these tattered jerseys. They had these old uniforms. Their football was less than desirable. You know, it's like everything was just so run down, and people were making fun of them, and they really rose to greatness throughout the course of history. It's a period piece set in the 1920s, 1930s, right in there, and we brought that story to life and just told of their victories. I mean, they wound up becoming state champions and everything too, when everything was said and done, because they truly believed in themselves, and they started gaining more and more of the community support and everything as they continued to prove themselves. So just because you're an orphan doesn't mean that you can't be, you know, rocking out on that field. Just because you're poor doesn't mean that you're stuck in mediocrity. You know, you can definitely rise to the top whenever you put your mind to it. That's for sure.
That sounds like a movie right up our alley, because you know, about positivity and all that. That's how I think those sports movies are always kind of interesting, because they can kind of pinpoint so many different things, and then you can follow, you know, different characters and some of their backgrounds, and, you know, it just pulls everything together on how, I don't know, like these ragtag bunch of people or whatever context of the movie it is, they uplift you, you know, in the end, it seems.
Absolutely. You know, like the final scenes, when we were doing the final scenes of the movie, it was like really super emotional for me, because, you know, for one thing, I had worked so many days on that movie, but for another thing, it was just like the conclusion of you know, all the victories and you know, just, you know, these real orphans came so far, you know, and they won the hearts of the community in the end. It was awesome.
That is great. So you mentioned that you come from like a family that's into the movie business. Is that right? Your whole family's into it?
Well, my kids are, yes. Okay. Yes. And, you know, that's because they have seen what I have done. Like, I grew up in theater, and I've always been an entertainer, you know, since I was like little bitty. But I got into the film and television industry side of things about 4.5 years ago now. And that was after I had started emceeing concerts and stuff. But I had a gentle push, almost shove from a friend of mine who she's a celebrity photographer, and she's like, you know, hey girlfriend, you need to go audition for this right here. You know, you're right on the verge of excellence, and you need to get yourself out there. So I went to the audition, and I wound up getting in, and it was I'm so grateful to her for giving me that push, almost shove, because it's really changed my life. I mean, I went to school because my parents wanted me to go to school and not because I wanted to do those things. I mean, I thought at one point I wanted to be a chemical engineer. No, I didn't want to be a chemical engineer. And then I wound up changing my major to business and getting a bachelor's degree in management and another bachelor's degree in marketing. And then I thought I wanted a master's degree. So I got a master's degree in marketing, and then I got a master's degree in accounting. And I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to do any of this. I just want to film. I just want to film. And so I started manifesting more and more and more of that. I used to do vision boards, and because what you put your focus on is what your subconscious lines you up to be able to do. I used to do the vision boards, and then I'm like, you know what, this is small scale, and so I just created a manifestation wall in my room, and I cut out things and I put them directly onto my wall. And I subscribed to Hollywood Reporter magazine. I cut out things, pictures of people that I want to work with, awards that I want to achieve, different characteristics in my acting and directing and producing career that I want to have happen. And I cut out those words and I cut out those pictures. I put them straight on there onto the wall. And, the majority of the things that I have on that wall have come to fruition, because I look at them every single day. And I'm subconsciously lining myself up for those things to happen. And I love it. What I have going on right now is, I'm putting it out there in the universe that I'm going to work on John Wick 4 and/or 5. It's on my bucket list to work with Keanu. And right now I have the movie theater posters, and not the little ones that you can roll up and stick on your wall, like Teen Beat or whatever. I'm dating myself right now, but not like one that fits in a magazine, or one that you can just go to like Walmart or something and purchase. These are the actual movie theater posters of John Wick 1, 2, and 3. And they are going up on my opposite wall from my manifestation wall, because I'm continuing that wall around my room. So I'm going to be focusing on the John Wick movies, once those posters arrive, which will be in the next couple of weeks or so. And, I'm going to work with Keanu. I'm just going to. I'm putting it out there. I'm going to. And it will be on John Wick 4 and/or 5. It will be on his future series that he is producing for John Wick. It will be on The Matrix. It will be, a little bit here and there. I may not be one of the main characters, but I will be at least a supporting role. I'll be more than a day player, I can guarantee that. So I'm just putting all that out there. Yeah. I just need to have those right connections, and I'm lining everything up for that.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing to hear. We're very familiar with the vision boards and everything, but I think you're the first person I've heard mention a vision wall, which I absolutely love the idea of. I've always been kind of one of those that in our garage, I've got posters hung all over, just like a lot of kids back in the 90s and stuff used to do. And so our ceilings got set lists and concert tickets and all that, for positive memories I wanted to surround ourselves with. But I love the whole vision board wall too. I could see, that really being beneficial to, it's one thing to go to your room or go somewhere where you have that board, but holy smokes, if your whole wall's covered in what you want to manifest, bam, you're making it.
Absolutely. And it's something that came to me maybe a couple of months ago, and I have really seen such benefit from having that on there. It's like goals don't achieve themselves, and if you don't at least write something down, then you're not really thinking about it. You're not really lining yourself up for it to happen. It's just, a fleeting thought or whatever. But when you have it right there in front of you all the time, your subconscious really does work on that alignment with it. It really does. It really, truly, truly does.
Yeah. And where your energy or where your attention goes, your energy flows. And so if you're putting that attention into those details, the good will come.
Yes, absolutely. You know, and another thing, basically going to my acting class every single week is therapy. I train with Glenn Morshower, he's been in like literally almost everything I've watched my entire life. Everything from Transformers to Star Trek to he was on 24 as Agent Aaron Pierce for 7 years. He's currently on The Resident and Ozark, which was a bucket list item for him. He got a role on Ozark before they finish up the series. I'm really excited for him. But he has been a really great friend and mentor for the past 2.5 years that I've been training with him. And he's helped me grow so much, but he's more than just an acting coach. He focuses on our mind, body, and spirit health before we even get into the acting. He's a metaphysician, and he really drives home that whole law of attraction thing. It's a really real thing. You know, law of attraction definitely has a place and definitely is an important aspect of our lives, you know, because what we think about eventually becomes the pathway to our lives. And if we're not healthy in that thinking, then we're just putting roadblocks in our way on our own. You know, we're the ones stopping ourselves from achieving our goals.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, they always talk about who you surround yourself with, and it sounds like you've got, you know, good family support as well as good professional support. But then on top of that, you know, with the manifestation and all that, you know, it is true that you either, if you tell yourself, you know, you're pessimistic all the time, that's how you're going to see the world. But if you're optimistic, you know, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have bad days and you're not going to feel off and you're not going to be sad, angry, so on. But you know that it's going to get better. You know that you're going to grow from whatever bad thing may have just happened. And yeah, I enjoy listening to how you talk about it, because especially in your industry, I'd imagine you have to be really thick-skinned, if you will, and you're going to auditions and, you know, getting rejected a lot. I mean, you need to have a really positive, you know, background and people to support you.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, the gift of you is not for everyone. You know, you are a treasure. And just because someone in one room tells you no, doesn't mean another person isn't going to be like, oh my gosh, you are exactly who I want. I mean, I'm at a point now where people are writing scripts specifically for me because they want me as their lead in their productions. And, you know, you don't reach that status by being pessimistic. You just don't. I mean, people want to work with people they want to be around. And that's why, well, especially in the entertainment industry, but in other industries as well, you'll see the same groups of people working together on different things because they vibe well. You know, they are a really, really good fit together. So that's what you want. It's not about getting one production. It's about people saying, hey, I want you for this too. It's not about the hire, it's about the rehire. You know, for example, I am the official MC for one of our local cities for their concert series, you know, because they reached out to me and, you know, after they realized that they needed somebody to MC their concerts, and they liked me so much that they're like, hey, do you want to do this really big event? I was like, well, yeah, of course I do. The headliner for one night was Flo Rida. I mean, who's going to turn that down?
Yeah.
And the headliner for the next night was Third Eye Blind. I mean, come on. Yeah. Yes, please. And thank you. You know, but I'm emceeing all of their stuff. all of their concert series. And, I'll likely be emceeing the major event next year too. It's just, you want to keep that positive energy out there. And like, my house is a designated drama-free zone. I mean, it just is. Like, we have negativity here and there, but it doesn't last long because I refuse to allow it to last long. Like on occasion, I have little down days, little off days or whatever, but I know it's just a day. I mean, like the whole lifetime isn't going to be like that, and tomorrow is going to be a whole new day, or even, that evening is going to be a whole new time frame or whatever. I mean, everything passes, and we all have like little off times here and there, but I don't know, if you don't dwell on it, then it can't stick around anyway.
That's a great outlook. I love that. So now you're a mom.
I am.
So do your kids have their own vision boards or their manifestations walls as well?
Not to my knowledge. If they do, they're in secret places. But, they do, a couple of them do like drawings every single day, and they just, well, actually, a few of them do draw, and that's kind of like their outlet. And a couple of them actually write stories, and I don't know. One of my daughters is actually contracted with a children's book author to illustrate the whole book. Another one of my daughters wrote the pilot episode of a series that she wants to produce, not just direct, but produce. And she's already figured out the budget that she needs to make it happen. She's written the second episode, and she's working on the third episode. So I mean, there is creativity that abounds, and if they have vision boards, then like I said, they're in a notebook or something like that. They're not prominently displayed on the wall like mine is, but they've got their inspiration somewhere.
That's amazing. We had given our girls each like a 2-foot by 3-foot foam board or poster board thing. And, my youngest one really got into it, and she did it and has it hanging up. My older one would be the one that would be hiding it in the closet if she did do it, or is secretly working on it. She would be more discreet about it. So it's kind of crazy to see how those kids can take some of the stuff that we say and they incorporate it in their own way.
Absolutely. And every kid is different too. I mean, I have 5 of them, and they have totally different personalities.
Holy cow. Yeah. So you really have your hands full then, especially, you're working nights, you're filming during the day, and taking care of all those kids. Wow.
Well, thankfully they're all older, and it's funny because I actually play teenager to college age almost always. Like, I've gotten 2 mom roles in commercials, and that's it. My primary agent earlier this year was like, "Girlfriend, we need to get you some new headshots because you're getting passed over for mom roles." And I'm like, this is my face. So, even with the new headshots, I mean, we have to get new headshots every year. Or if we have like some kind of drastic change, like if we cut our hair or color it or whatever, we have to get new headshots. But my new headshots, like I did the regular ones, and then my agent asked for character headshots too, and I still look like a child. So I'm like, this is just my face. But my youngest daughter and I did 2 commercials together this year. They really wanted my daughter to be 4 years old and not 12 or 13, but they accommodated that for me so that she could be in one of the commercials with me. And then the other commercial, it really didn't matter what her age was. But if I get a mom role, it's typically a young mom role. And like tomorrow, I'm going to be playing a 17-year-old. I'm doing 3 movies in July, and one of them I'm playing a 26-year-old. I'm 42. I'll be 43 in October. But I have that baby face or what have you. I look like a child, really. And it's funny because when I'm out, especially with my two oldest boys who are 20 and 18, like everybody who does not know us, everyone thinks I'm their sister. Everyone. It's hilarious because I don't have to dye my hair. I have no wrinkles. I just have this young face, and it's crazy. My ex-boyfriend, my most recent ex-boyfriend, I was with him for a year, but he's older than me, but people who didn't know us thought he was my dad.
I think that's a good problem for you to have. I mean,
it is. It's a wonderful problem for me to have. So, I find it so funny, and it's wonderful because I like having that range. I mean, they have to, if they want me to play like a mom role, that doesn't have toddlers or whatever, they'll have to age me up with makeup or whatever.
Oh.
But I like being able to play a younger role too. For example, a producer reached out to me. I don't know if you've ever seen One Tree Hill. I personally have never seen an episode, but my sister loves the show. And there's going to be a next generation One Tree Hill. And the producer reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to audition for it. And I said, yeah, sure, cool. And she's like, great, we already shortlisted you. And are you going to need an adult for the party? I said, no, I can drink alcohol. And she's like, get out of town. I was like, yeah, I'm 42 years old. She's like, get out of town. Wow. And when we were working on Cruel Summer, we had to COVID test every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And, this was for 2.5 months that we were working on the show. And one of the times that we were in line waiting to do our test, this guy behind us asked if my 18-year-old son was my husband. And he said, no, that's my mom. And the guy was like, are you trying to give me a heart attack? And I said, no, I'm 42. And he's like, seriously, are you trying to give me a heart attack?
Well, you should be able to have roles for a long time then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we find it really, really super funny. It's awesome.
So you've only been kind of pursuing this for just around 4 years. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. 4.5 years. Yes, sir.
Holy cow. Look at how far you've come already and what you've manifested. Is what we talked about earlier. Have you been doing that since the very beginning, this manifestation wall with your acting career?
No, it's something that came to me, like, I don't know. I did the vision boards before, but the whole manifestation wall came to me 2 months ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And it has made such a huge difference. It's like COVID didn't slow me down as far as work goes because Texas is a right to work state. And so we've been filming all along, whether it's an industrial or a commercial or, like 12 Mighty Orphans was filmed here. So, like Hollywood was shut down, Florida's shut down, various other regions have been shut down as far as filming goes. But I mean, I have had more work than ever since COVID started. And it's actually been kind of a blessing to me, but that's because Texas is awesome. And, it's very, very hot here, but 104 heat index yesterday and it's only June. But other than that, I mean, as far as being able to film goes, we're working on better incentives for filming here. And there's a lot of filming up in Oklahoma too that I've been able to do. Like I got to work with Anna Paquin a couple of months ago on a film that we shot up in Oklahoma. And they shot parts of it in Dallas also, but I went up to Oklahoma for my part. And it's just really, really awesome. Just the people that I've been able to work with and in such a short period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did you I mean, you had all this schooling that you did, and it's got to be real scary to kind of have that, I don't know, sense of stability, if you will, with all of the degrees that you had, and you can go right in that profession. But you thought, well, I mean, and I've had jobs that are commission only in sales, but I mean, an actress is, I guess you have to get jobs to get paid. I mean, how scary was that of a leap to make?
I think if I didn't have the family resources that I do, it would be a whole lot more scary.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, I have Bank of Daddy if I must, which I don't. But you know, it's funny because I had a really, really well-paying job in international tax accounting for a major company. And they knew when they hired me that I'm an actor, and they knew when they hired me that there would be times that I'd need to be gone for auditions and for filming and such. And at the time, they were totally fine with it. They didn't realize how much it was going to take off, though. Mm-hmm. And I always got my work done. I would bring it home with me if I needed to or whatever. But they didn't like it that I wasn't in the office so much. And so my boss came to me one day and was like, hey, we're going to need to have you make a choice. I said, okay, bye. I'm giving you 8 weeks notice because my job was very, very specialized. And so I gave them 8 weeks notice so that they could find someone and let me train that person before I left because, like I said, it was a very, very specialized position. It took them 6 weeks to find someone. And so I got to train that person for 2 weeks. And then, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, that boss tried to hire me back because the company had grown so much, but his bosses wouldn't let him because they knew I would just leave again. And they're right. But I thought it was really cool that he even asked if I wanted to come back. I was like, yeah, sure, as long as they work around my film schedule. But when I told my dad that I left that job, he was kind of freaked out. He was like, oh my gosh, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna film. That's what I'm gonna do. Mm-hmm. So, because he was worried that he was gonna have to be paying my bills and stuff, because I am a single mom and have been for 11 years. But I was like, no, you don't have to worry about me. I am just fine. I am just fine. And so, yeah, that's how that is.
That's awesome. I mean, everything that you say, and this is something, interestingly, I think is something people, all these personality traits are to an extent a skill, and people can learn them, but some people just naturally have that as a talent, if you will, just like, I don't know, playing football or basketball or a sport or whatever. But every time you talk about something, you seem to have this sense of confidence, and that's, I don't know, it just comes pouring out of you, really. So is that something that you've had to work on or overcome situations, whether it's anxiety or have you kind of just kind of had that flow of confidence in your past too?
I think a lot of it has to do with my upbringing. My dad is a very, very open-minded person, and he raised me on Dave Ramsey principles, Zig Ziglar principles, Robert Kiyosaki principles, 1 Minute Manager, the richest man in Babylon, all this stuff he raised me on. And so I had that ingrained into my core growing up. And I always knew that I could overcome whatever. I mean, I've been in some pretty unsavory situations, like while I was married. But, I came out of those situations a champion. And things have been so much better since I got divorced even. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but things have gotten easier since I got divorced 11 years ago, because he was just a soul sucker. And, you can't allow negative people to stay in your life. You can't allow negative situations to stay in your life. And Usually I'm a very, very forgiving person, but that's also a character flaw because sometimes I'll tolerate things a little bit too long until I realize, you know what, this really is not healthy for me. So I need to remove myself from this person or from this situation.
Well, and it definitely, we've had different relationship episodes and talk a bit on that here and there too. And we're little high school sweethearts, so we've been together since we were 16, and now we'll be celebrating our 17th wedding anniversary this next week, actually. But anyways, we always feel, it takes obviously two people. And so if you're in a situation where like you're absorbing all that negativity and you just can't escape it and it's starting to pull you down, if that your partner, if you will, isn't willing to to make those changes too, sometimes that is the best thing. So to me, it completely makes sense. I'm a child of divorce, if you will, and those two definitely could not have probably stayed together. So it was best they didn't. But so I totally get it when you say that. It's what's best for you, and you can be a better mom, and maybe you both can be better parents. I don't know, but yeah, that totally makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. In our situation, it's just me. There's no involvement from him, but that's actually better too, because I'm the positive person and he's not. So it's all good. It's all good. I promise. It's all good.
Well, that's where that confidence comes from.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
So now when man, that even makes me think of how much more, so people can listen to this and they'll think, wow, how difficult it must be. She's filming stuff during the day, or she's going to auditions, or she's, going to these classes. You're working nights. You've got 5 kids. They're older, which is great. So I'm sure they're pretty supportive of you. It sounds like too, and they even get into the acting themselves. But, what a little story without even knowing, the darkest parts of what you went through. Just that passion and confidence that comes off of you. I think I can tell that, that there is a lot of growth that you've gone through, I think, in recent years.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I will admit I am spoiled. I am totally spoiled. But, I went through a situation where I tell people I went from silver spoon to plastic spoon while I was married. And we weren't just at the bottom of the barrel, we were under it. But, it's like it was the day that was no longer the case and I was no longer married was the beginning of no longer having negativity in my life. That's the day that I was like, you know what? My house is a designated drama-free zone. And there will be peace inside my walls.
Right. Yeah. And I think
that's when our lives, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, gonna say that's what a lot of people don't, I think, catch on to is that, when you say a drama-free zone, and I kind of get like that too, where I just don't want to put up with, we've got 2 daughters and, where it seems like everybody's just kind of catty with each other, if you will. And I just want to separate from it or just kind of put a kibosh on it. But that doesn't mean like when they're, sad or if they're going through some trouble with school or friends or whatever, we don't talk through it. But, you have to learn a little bit of gratitude and not maybe be so dramatic about the world's kind of made us that way with social media and everything else. Sometimes something that we would just move forward on, we blow up to be a big deal nowadays.
Absolutely. And I know this may sound weird to say because I'm an actor, but we really don't watch that much television.
Well, I get it. I sell radio advertising and I don't always listen to a lot of radio, but it's because we do it for the people that, that do. And then we put our passion out there, whether it's making commercials or for you, it's starring in them and in TV shows. And, I don't know. I think sometimes when you're the one that's behind it all, it's a little different. When you're watching it, you're almost like it's like working. I don't know, in some weird sense. I used to sell appliances, and we'd watch a TV show, and I'd go, "Oh, that's a Frigidaire or whatever," you know.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of like working, because I mean, we're analyzing every little thing whenever we do watch something. But I feel like we definitely, we don't watch the news on purpose. I mean, we'll get like highlights on our phones or whatever, but I think there's just so much negativity on television in particular that we don't want to be a part of. So like we don't watch live television.
Mm-hmm.
As a rule, we just don't. We don't watch live television. We'll watch things on streaming services without the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like even the cough and cold commercials get into your subconscious and make you sick or make you think you are or whatever. It's just, I don't know. I don't want that seeping into the subconscious, that negativity or planting that seed of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No. And we are super, super healthy. We are for the most part positive, and I really attribute that to what we don't watch. Really.
Mm-hmm.
I do. It's just because there's so much just junk out there.
I hear you. I obviously advertising in general is to kind of help, and I mean this in a positive way, but help sort of manipulate people's mindsets to oh yeah, okay, this is on sale, I should go and buy it now type situation. And you as the buyer have to be cognizant enough to know, like, okay, well, do I really need to go buy 500 cans of beans or whatever it might be just so I can get 5 cents off? But I think what maybe you might be referencing that I pick up on a lot, and I always turn to Catherine and say something, but we'll see like a drug commercial on TV, and there's very few that we watch live TV. It's generally usually a streaming service, but there's a couple that have the same commercials in the middle. But it's like since we're big into depression and mental health awareness and things like that, I think there are times where medication for your chemical imbalance, if you will, may be necessary. But therapy is really where I think the building blocks need to come from. And then a licensed psychologist will say, hey, maybe we can start you on this regimen. And then the goal is to get you off of it as soon as possible and continue your therapy, or give you the tools to, keep getting better in a sense on your own. So that is the new you. But, you watch a lot of these and it's like, oh, well, here's a drug for this, but 10 other things are terrible side effects, or
Exactly.
yeah, or like, hey, is this happening to you in the world? Well, here's the solution. And you're like, well, I don't think it's happening to me. Well, maybe it is. Oh, crap. And that's I totally get it.
Yeah,
it's like WebMD at its
it's totally
finest.
interfering.
Yeah, no, it's totally interfering, but it's like I said, it's WebMD at its worst in a sense. Instead of people going and searching and Googling, it's the commercials are telling them what's wrong with them.
I know. And actually, speaking of them, I've done several auditions for their telemedicine lately. But I have real issue with messing with people's subconscious minds, and there's so much subliminal stuff out there in the things that we watch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I'm careful about what I allow myself to film.
Yeah.
Because I want to be a contributor to that manipulation,
Definitely. I think maybe it's because we live in a community that's got like 25 or so thousand people, and so advertising for me is quite small scale, and we're extremely local and mom and pop, if you will. But so a lot of times, we're doing tires and cars and retail and chiropractors, things like that. So it's pretty low key in a sense, but they do say, though, when I take classes and things, they'll say, part of the advertising to make a good ad is to, kind of create a problem. And not that it's necessarily one that's not there, but address a problem and then give a solution, all while branding that company. So definitely I can appreciate that you are cognizant of what you take on, because again, if you're trying to have a positive career and be confident and so on, and you are, doing something that you don't agree with, or you think is putting bad out there in the world in a sense, then, you're not going to be real happy about that, and it might bring you down a notch.
Exactly right. I think part of it too comes from studying marketing in school. I mean, my bachelor's degrees are in management and marketing, and my master's degrees are in marketing and accounting. But there is so much that I learned in the process of getting the degrees in marketing that I'm just like, I really don't want to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
As an actor, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, but in a sense, you have to market yourself, so you probably got some good out of that situation. And I've always thought like it's made me a better relationship builder, connecting with people, on a personal level. But I never went to school for marketing. I think I just know how to jabber. So the gift of BS, some people say.
Well, I don't know. My goal is always to be uplifting and inspiring. Mm-hmm. So I try to make sure that my work reflects that. Now, that may be contrary to some of the stuff that I have filmed before. Like horror movies aren't exactly uplifting or whatever, but they do have some good morals in them from time to time. Yeah. But as far as like family oriented things, I definitely want that kind of stuff to be uplifting. And as far as, how people interact with me on a daily basis, that sort of thing is going to be uplifting. But, most families aren't going to be watching horror movies.
Right. No, and some people just enjoy that genre anyways. It's a way for them to decompress. And, I think you're not watching a movie like that thinking, oh my gosh, that stuff is real, or this is going to happen to us. So if you're the type of person that likes that, really you're providing entertainment for them. And it might mm-hmm. be, some people read a book, or they watch a show about this or that. Well, that's just what they're into. And, it doesn't mean they're, it's a good way for them to just shut their brain off, I think, because you don't have to think a lot about them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it doesn't have to be like scary or whatever either. It can just be, a weird storyline. And I've actually had the privilege of directing an episode of a series that's like a cross between the Twilight Zone and Tales from the Crypt. Mm. So there's a little bit of humor in it too. Not really scary, but it's kind of horror thriller genre. And that's not real positive, but there are positive aspects in the morals that are presented too.
Well,
because there's an intro and an outro, and so there is a lesson to be learned in the series.
Well, and people that are positive mindseted, like we talked about earlier, they're going to take that positivity and find it in almost anything, where the negative mindset, of course, is probably going to focus in on that. And like you already, I think, are kind of preaching with the no drama zone, drama-free zone. It's kind of, if that's how you feel about something, that doesn't mean that's how I have to feel about it. And I don't necessarily have to absorb your feelings either. So it's just, exactly. Bam, this is what it is.
Yeah, I have trouble processing like overly emotional things, like if somebody's crying or whatever over some situation, I'm like, okay, I really, really want to validate your feelings, but I need you to go deal with that part in your room. And then when you're done, come out and we'll talk about it. Because
Yeah.
I don't know what to do other than just like hug them or something. And sometimes that's not what they need. They just need to go cry it out and then come back and talk about it later.
Yeah, parenting is very interesting that way, especially when they get to the point, which you've kind of gone through, I think, but we're just kind of entering is remembering that these two people are people and they're not our tiny little babies anymore and toddlers, and that we need to start treating them like human beings, like formative young adults that need to know how to navigate the world and, the socialness of the world, and then how to hopefully handle problems better than we may have here and there, depending on the context. So I know that's one thing we always kind of, I don't know if it's struggle with, but we try to keep in mind that, okay, how do we handle this? Maybe it's a new situation. It's like, oh gosh, let's not emotionally freak out. How do we pause for a minute and then and then help them work through it?
Exactly. Well, I don't know. I was raised pretty independently, and so I've raised my kids for the most part to be pretty independent too. So it kind of, you know, it kind of did trickle down into them. But I grew up an only child, and I do have sisters, but they grew up with our mother, and I grew up with my dad, and so we're not full siblings. And I grew up differently than they did, and they're a lot closer family wise, but I'm more catered toward the business side of things and toward the independent side of things and such. And I don't think either way is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we handle things a lot differently.
Well, and you need that balance in the world, just like when we do talk about, again, the positivity, you to have gratitude, sometimes bad things have to happen, and to appreciate the sunshine you have to go through the rain, but rain also brings growth and new development, and there's just so many ways you can break stuff down, but all in all you do need a balance in life. You have to sometimes you can learn gratitude through someone else's situation they went through, or a loss that they've had. And, I'm grateful that hasn't happened to me, but I can appreciate what they went through type feeling. There's just so many different ways, hence why we do this show, that people can find ways that help them be more positive, that works for their personality,
Absolutely. And another thing is never stop learning. Just because you went through school doesn't mean that learning stopped when you graduated, or even if you didn't graduate. Just because you're not in a classroom doesn't mean you don't still have things to learn. There is so much to still learn, and if you're breathing, there is something to learn.
That's perfect, because I think there's a lot of people, especially as we get older, there's some of those that, and maybe the Midwest is a bit more this way, but it's like I always think of the computer, and cell phones. They think, well, you're younger, you grew up with that, and you just know how to do it. And it's like, no, I know people that are 60, 70 years old that can use a computer or a phone even better than I can. It's just you choose to learn a banana bread recipe by heart instead of how to use your phone. I mean, you got the same hours in the day that I do. I just happen to sit down maybe for 3 hours and figure out how to use it or whatever, so.
Right. Well, and my dad is one of those people. I think probably my dad is my biggest inspiration in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems really weird to say, because he is so blunt about things, and some people don't like him or whatever, but I mean he has shaped me into the person that I am today, and people love me. So I don't know. maybe I just maybe I present things a little bit better than he does, because I'm a girl. I don't know, whatever it is. But I mean, I still have those principles that he instilled in me that radiate through me. But I guess there's just more positivity that comes with that because I decided to be positive. I mean, he's very open-minded, but I decided to be positive. And it is a choice. You can wake up every day and be like, oh, this really sucks. I hate going to my job. I hate getting to, I hate doing this. Or you can wake up and be like, you know what? I got to take another breath this morning. There are so many great things that I get to do today. I get to go make money today. I get to get up and get dressed. I get to have a house to clean. It's a matter of perspective.
That's very true. I know, I can say for my family, we're not always the closest, but, we talk a lot about breaking the cycle. And, my parents, have had their good qualities, and there's people that like them and so on. But I've learned to kind of try to capitalize on the things that made me who I was, and almost learn through some of their instances. If there's a social situation where I watch them do something, I'm like, oh, majority of the people didn't like that very much. I'm not going to try to be that way. And so I don't know if that's what you're getting at, but that's what I was kind of thinking of the whole time was, people, you can learn from their issues, if you will, but they always try to give you the best of themselves. So you combine the two. So you're like the new and improved version.
Right. There's a healthy balance with it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Oh, Shanna, you've been absolutely amazing. I could probably do this for hours, but I don't want to take up your whole day. So I do want to get into what we like to call for some of these special episodes, the shameless plug zone. So tell the people how they can find you and follow you and learn more about you, and then what projects you have coming out, working on. And then I can't wait to see you in John Wick and tell Keanu I said hi.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So the easiest way to find out more about me would be to go to my IMDb page. Yes, I'm on there. Yay. My name is Shanna Toft. If you search me up on imdb.me/Shanna Toft, and I will spell my name phonetically out there. It is Sierra Hotel Alpha November Alpha Tango Oscar Foxtrot Tango.
Nice.
First. Yes, absolutely. My name is so hard to spell over any kind of airwaves, over the telephone, sometimes in person. So I'm just like, what? I used to park airplanes. I grew up around aviation. I'm just going to do the whole phonetic alphabet thing, and it helps so much better. But again, www.imdb.me/Shanna Toft, or you can just type in my name into Google search and you'll see all kinds of stuff. I'm everywhere, but I'm like Visa. I'm everywhere you want to be. So, there you have it. And then, there's Cruel Summer. There's 12 Mighty Orphans. I have a series out on YouTube called Second Chance Romance. And we actually shot that before COVID hit. We shot the entire season in a week and a half. That was just nuts. But that is out there. I'm also out on YouTube in a few of the Vid Chronicles episodes. So some of the first few I'm in. I got way too busy to continue with that series. And I've got a horror film being actually written for me that we will shoot in 2022. I had a production meeting about that recently. I'm shooting 3 films in July. One is called Line of Action. I'm a supporting character and assistant director in that one. There's another one called Stay, and that is regarding suicide prevention and awareness. And there's another one that I'm not allowed to talk about just yet. And I've got so many more projects coming, but unfortunately, due to non-disclosure, I'm not allowed to talk too much about most of them yet. However, if you keep an eye on that IMDb page, you will be updated. You can also find me on Facebook or Instagram. I have a public page because only my friends get to be on my private page, but my public page is facebook.com/IMDb Shanna Toft. And my Instagram is instagram.com/Shanna Toft. So I'm pretty easy to find out there.
Awesome. Well, I'm kind of excited to see about the suicide prevention awareness that you come out with too. Maybe we could do a follow-up. That's something that's pretty near and dear to our heart with mental health awareness too. So that'd be pretty awesome to do a follow-up maybe when that comes out.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Shauna. It's amazing, everything that you're doing, and you are just a radiant ray of light.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing some positivity. You have been very confident and uplifting and positive, so I'm excited to follow you along and can't wait to see you in the John Wicks and in Matrix 10 or whatever one they come out with.
Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure being on the show.
Awesome. Well, stay in touch with us and keep us in the loop on all the good things, and we hope we get to talk with you again soon.
You bet. Thank you.
You bet. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. What do you think, milady?
Whoa, talk about a lady doing it all.
Yeah, holy smokes. And that the passion and confidence does come out, and I mentioned it in there while we were talking to her, but that these things are skills. You know, happiness is a skill. Don't have a whole lot of courses left with the science of happiness, and we'll be launching some fun things, together. But that's one thing that has stuck with me overall, and hopefully I'm kind of the living light of in some degree too, is that these things can be taught, they can be learned, they can be then a skill, a tool in your tool bag of life, if you will, that you just have to pull out every once in a while. Even while we're camping and screaming at each other, and we pause and we apologize and we talk through it. And that's, what is that? 21 years of love and passion and anger and frustration and sadness and happiness.
Well, anyone who has ever docked a new pontoon for the first time together or parked your camper, I think you understand.
Yeah, and if you follow us or you know us personally, that is something, and I just want to touch on it quick because that is quite an investment for our family. And yes, we are in South Dakota, and you might only get 4 or so months of summer. But I mean, we're the most financially responsible. I'm not going to say sound, but responsible that we've been in our life. And, you know, this whole moving forward with positivity, there's so many different ways you can look at it. But I didn't really even think about it till Catherine, I think, put it in perspective. But I had really good memories out on the boat with my grandpa, and we lost him in 99, so I was only like 14-ish, 15-ish. And, I mean, you know, so what better way when we have these formative young adults in our house to keep them involved in creating memories, but to do something like that. And for us, that was a decision that we made. And I'm pretty sure that we could sell it in 30 seconds if for some reason we had a financial issue, because I've already had 2 people ask. But yeah, so anyways, I think whatever that means for you, you really should do that now. If that does mean going to Disney World, if that means going on a trip to the Grand Canyons, if that means calling up Granny and scooping her up and taking her somewhere, whatever it means for you, it really is about creating positive memories. And then don't tarnish them, you know, with anger and frustration. Let it out, talk about it later, and move forward. Be accepting of each other's feelings, and continue to learn. Like Shauna said, learn. And we talk about that all the time. You can never stop learning, especially when it's about mental health. We're just cracking the surface of mental health awareness, mental health issues, labeling them, and now it's becoming a little bit more destigmatized. And I hope that's what we're helping do as well. So again, we get to the point where we thank you all for your support. We got the new shirts that came in. They're looking pretty rad, so we'll get those out to the folks this week. And we're growing our little pool, and hopefully we can help continue to make people more positive and help others find help if they need it. You can go to our Anchor or to positivelymidwest.com if you ever want to make a donation towards our cause. Eventually, as I get some certification, we might be able to help more people in a professional fashion, and that'll be a way to get that launched as well. So we just appreciate the support and listenership, and we even camped next to someone that's a supporter this weekend, and that was really cool. It ended up being an old family friend of my grandparents, so we got to catch up on that for a minute, and that brings a joyful tear to my eye.
I love it.
Anything else, my wonderful, extremely gorgeous wife?
Oh, man, you can tell it's the week of our anniversary. He's really going to be buttering me up this week.
Well, wink.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for listening to the Positively Midwest podcast. Our hope is to inspire, engage each other's thoughts, and leave you with some great advice. Be sure to join our Facebook group and follow us on Instagram at Positively Midwest Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, share, and screenshot our podcast with all of your cool friends. Every little bit helps. We are on most all major platforms, and you can stream it on our website at positivelymidwest.com. Also, check out our merch in the online store at positivelymidwest.com. All proceeds go to help those in need to find therapy or rehab. Please reach out to us at positivelymidwest@gmail.com if you need to look into therapy or rehab. And thank you, and as always, please always stay positive.